Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a 3,500-year-old cold case straight out of ancient Egypt. It's a story of power, ambition, and a shocking attempt to completely erase a ruler from history itself. Okay, so let's start right at the crime scene. I want you to imagine you're walking through these grand temples in Egypt. You're seeing these magnificent carvings everywhere. But then you notice something is wrong. The cartouches, those oval frames that protect a royal name, they've been violently hacked away. Statues have been smashed into a million pieces and buried. This wasn't just random vandalism. This was a systematic, calculated effort to make someone completely disappear. And that right there is the central question for us today. Who was this person? And what could they possibly have done to provoke an attack so extreme that someone would try to wipe their very existence from the record books? Well, the answer to who is what makes this whole story just absolutely extraordinary. The vanished pharaoh, whose memory they tried so desperately to extinguish, was a woman. Her name was Hatshepsut. Now, to be clear, she wasn't the very first female ruler of Egypt, but what totally sets Hatshepsut apart is the sheer scale of her success. She didn't just hold the throne as some kind of placeholder. No, she ruled over one of Egypt's most peaceful and prosperous eras, wielding a level of power no woman had ever commanded before. So how did she do it? Well, her path to the throne was a total masterclass in political maneuvering. She started out as the daughter of a pharaoh, then became the principal wife of her own half-brother. When he died, she was named regent for her very young stepson. But Hatshepsut wasn't content to just rule from the shadows. In this incredibly bold, unprecedented power grab, she just declared herself pharaoh. And this, right here, just brilliantly illustrates her incredible political strategy. See, on the left, we see her shown with clear female features. But on the right, she's depicted with all the traditional symbols of a male king. The broad shoulders, the kilt, and yep, even the ceremonial false beard. To rule in a man's world, she presented herself as a man. And to really cement her legitimacy, she claimed divine right. She had these stories carved into her temples about her divine birth and publicized this proclamation from the most powerful oracle in the land. It basically declared that Amun, the king of the gods himself, wanted her to be pharaoh. I mean, talk about a brilliant PR move. Okay, so after all that effort to claim the throne, what kind of ruler was she? The answer is what makes her erasure so baffling. She ushered in this incredible era of peace and prosperity. She was a builder. Get this, Hatshepsut ruled for 22 years. And to put that into perspective for you, that's longer than many of the most famous male pharaohs. This wasn't some short, chaotic reign. We're talking 2 decades of stability and wealth, defined not by war, but by huge building projects and thriving trade. She was one of the most prolific builders in all of Egyptian history. I mean, she commissioned hundreds of construction projects, everything from restoring neglected temples to putting up these colossal obelisks. And this is crucial, she reestablished vital trade routes, launching this legendary expedition to the far-off Land of Punt that brought back incredible luxuries like live myrrh trees. And this, wow, this was her crowning achievement, the magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari. It's literally carved into the cliffs. Its terrace design is an absolute architectural marvel, a monument to her reign that still takes your breath away thousands of years later. So, peace, prosperity, architectural wonders. If her reign was so successful, why in the world would anyone try to wipe her from history? This brings us right back to the scene of the crime and the hunt for a motive. See, here's the really strange part. The erasures didn't happen right after she died. Nope, they began decades later, near the end of the reign of her stepson, Thutmose III, the very same boy she was once regent for. That delay suggests this wasn't an act of immediate, passionate rage. It was a cold, calculated political decision. So why do it? Well, for a long time, everyone just assumed it was personal revenge. They pictured this resentful Thutmose III finally getting back at the stepmother who took his throne. But a more recent and way more compelling theory suggests it was all about cold, hard politics. A successful female pharaoh set a dangerous precedent. So to make sure the line of succession stayed strictly male, her revolutionary example had to be scrubbed from history.
And you know what? The erasure was so incredibly effective that for centuries, Hatshepsut was almost completely forgotten. Her rediscovery is a true historical detective story, pieced together from shattered fragments and really confusing clues. And then, in 2007, after centuries of searching, we get this stunning piece of forensic work. Her mummy was likely identified because of a single molar tooth. A single tooth. It was found in a box with her name on it, and it perfectly matched an empty socket in the jaw of this unidentified royal mummy. That tooth was the key that unlocked the whole thing.
You can just imagine early Egyptologists scratching their heads, right? Champollion, the guy who decoded hieroglyphs, found these inscriptions of a king with a beard, but all the grammar referred to the king as she and her. He couldn't make any sense of it. This became known as the famous Hatshepsut problem. But by carefully piecing together every single clue, the weird grammar, the defaced monuments, the surviving statues, historians finally brought her story back from the brink. They restored the legacy of a woman who defied every convention to rule as one of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, which prompted one famous Egyptologist to call her the first great woman in recorded history. So just think about that for a second. Her entire legacy was nearly lost, saved by a single tooth and a few grammatical quirks in ancient stone. Her story is such a powerful reminder that history isn't just what happened. It's a story of what survives, what gets remembered, and who gets to tell the tale.